Hey, welcome back to Lady Tradie. A while back I made my kids a cubby house, so I bought a $99 kit cubby house. I made sure that we painted it so it was protected from the weather, but I'm really sick of it being on the floor of my patio and taking up so much space. On top of that, I have a sand pit in a clamshell and it gets sand everywhere, so I've decided I want to move it all outdoors onto a grassed area and do the traditional raised cubby house with the sand pit underneath. So I'm going to give that a go today. I've got some basic supplies just from my local hardware store, so I'll talk you through those as we go through it. And I've also downloaded some basic plans, although I use them as a learning guide only. I'm doing this my own way today. So I taught myself some really basic but important building things from those plans, and I've bought really good quality pieces that are solid and are going to hold this in place. These are the basic tools and equipment that I'll be using. So my usual drill and drill bits, some screws, some brackets and a saw and measuring tape. I'm starting with the posts. So these are the vertical posts. So measure out to the height that you want them, plus an additional amount that you may bury in the ground if you are choosing to use that method. So measure them out, just mark with the saw where you're going to cut, brace them however you can, and then start to saw through. While you're at it, saw through all of the timber lengths. So I'm also using this to box around the top for support of the shape, so to keep it square, but also to support the floor that I will be putting on top. And this will not only support the floor, but give me something to screw into. I'm pre-drilling some holes before screwing in. So remember to pre-drill slightly smaller than the screw size, which will be written on the packet of the screws. And then I'm going to use this ratchet to screw them down into place tightly. Now, if this is an outdoor item, you really want to get galvanized screws. So that means they're protected with zinc so that they don't rust in the weather. Attach that bracing to the top of two pieces of post and then stand that up out of the way. Do the same with the other two posts so that you end up with two sections. You can stand those up, then add your third and fourth piece of bracing so that eventually you end up with a square. Then we're going to lift the ply panel on top of that and it should fit perfectly snug. Now you want to add the brackets around the outside of each of those posts just to add some extra strength and hold those in place so they're nice and square. Now there are a few options for underneath. You can use timber to box in around underneath and make a built-in sand pit. What I've done is just put the clamshell in there for now. The reason I like the clamshell is that my son really likes to fill it up with water to make mud. You can't do that if you've just boxed it in on the ground. It just soaks into the ground. Even if you do lay plastic down, it just seeps away. So I don't think he would enjoy it as much. But I also really like that you can put a lid on it. That keeps the dog or cats or any other animals out of it. It also keeps rain and weather out of it as well. So for now, the clamshell is here to stay. Yeah, it doesn't look as good, but the practicality of it outweighs how it looks for me, and that's the way it's going to stay. Now for extra stability, I'm putting these brackets around. So I have 4 brackets I'm going to add to each of the posts. So I will do that all the way around as well. On top of that, you want to either dig in your posts, so if they're long enough you can dig quite a depth in, and that will make it really stable. The other option is that you can use brackets like this to tether it to the wall, so just adding a bracket and screwing it into the brickwork. That way they can be removed and you can move it around. And the final option is to use like timber sleepers or things like that and box it in around here. If it's boxed in, it is a lot more stable as well. Now I've gone for digging it in. As you can see, you can buy yourself a bag of rapid set concrete, fill the hole with that and put those posts in, and it is not going to go anywhere. The last thing that needs to be done is I need to screw down the floor. So at the moment it's just placed on here, so I'll put some screws down through that timber rail at the bottom into the floor of the platform that I've just built. In terms of entering and exiting the cubby house, that's totally up to you. At the moment I've just used a slippery slide which was once attached to my swing set. It was really annoying on the swing set because it made it difficult for the swing to be moved around. We also were constantly tripping over it. So I like that this is an alternative option. It saves me money because I'm using goods that I already have. So like with the posts of the cubby house itself, you want to tether those posts down into the ground, so either digging them in or concreting them in is the best idea. Depending on the height, you could also get some brackets and screw them into the cubby house itself. You can also purchase slippery slides from hardware stores that actually are designed for this purpose, and they have a flat top that screws down into the frame of the floor, and they can use that slippery slide for entering and exiting. Or if you prefer a ladder, you can use a ladder. So they can also be purchased pre-made from hardware stores. Just be warned that they're quite expensive. Another alternative option for a ladder is to look on Marketplace or some recycle centres and see if you can pick yourself up a second-hand ladder that you can screw into place. Okay, so that's my do-it-yourself cubby house. Super simple. It took me 3 hours, so not that long, I guess, in the scheme of things. I didn't really know what I was doing. Hopefully it will take you less time because you can follow my instructions. I have kept it simple on purpose. I'm not entirely sure what I want to do with it yet. So I have made this nice big wide base that goes around my cubby house. I could put, if I want to in time, railings around the outside. I can add a proper slippery slide. I could add ladders. I could box in the sandpit underneath. I guess I've kept it simple as well because it can change as my kids' interests and needs change as well. But the main thing for me today was that I had a sandpit on the ground. I also had the cubby house on the ground. So I had 2 lots of floor getting used up by the kids' toys and cubbies, and now it's just taking up 1 space. It's also off my veranda to keep all that sand from getting trekked inside the house, and it's out on the grass. like I said, using that clamshell rather than boxing it in and using a sandpit gives me options to move the clamshell around and fill it with water and do other things as well, which is why I've gone with that option. But the sky is the limit. So you can use this as your base template and then get creative from there. Make it work to suit your family. You can change the height of it, you can change the width of it. Mine is 1.2 square. I just tried to keep it simple by keeping it to those dimensions. It's also 1.2 high. I do have mine up against the house just to protect it from the weather a little bit, and also that gets the most shade during the mornings for me. I could put it out in the garden, and I may do so yet. I might move it further out, and that's the joy of keeping it simple. It's not going to be difficult for me to dig it up and move it to another location.